part 3 of this battle report featuring Orks versus Space Marines. We're on to Ork turn 3. We start off with the battle wagon moving back 7 inches. It's 6 inches plus 1 for the red paint job. And the bikes are going to move 6 inches towards the combat squad. Now onto the shooting phase. The 5 looters I can see are going to target the Devastators. They get D3 hits, so that's 3 shots each, so that's 15 shots, of which 8 hit, 6 wound, and Paul makes 5 of those saves. So another Devastator goes down. Next up, the bikes are going to attack the squad, so they get 6 shots, which is twin link, so it's 3 hits and 1 wound, and he managed to make that save. Now the kill cannon's going to target the Dreadnought. It scatters slightly. It scatters 2 inches, but still managed to keep it underneath there. But it fails to glance. Onto assault. The bikes are going to move up against that combat squad. Now the Marines get to attack first, so they get 6 attacks, of which 4 hit, and of those 4, 1 wounds. I managed to make the save. Now the bike retaliates. It gets 4 hits, of which those 2 wounds. Sorry, 4 attacks, 2 hits, for 1 wound, and he fails to make that save. And next up, the Knob gets to attack with 4 attacks, 1 hit, and 1 wound. Now we didn't film the taking away, but he did manage to manage his morale check. So next up, the Captain and the Sergeant are going to move forward through the difficult terrain. So we made the roll for that. The Dreadnought's going to move up 6 inches as well to get a better shot at the Ludas. And the other combat squad are moving up in difficult terrain as well, getting close to that one objective. So the Vindicator's targeting the battle wagon with its demolisher cannon, and we'll see that it's a hit once we get this cocked dice dealt with. So it is gets a penetrating hit and gets a 5, which is destroyed, but with a +1 for open top means it explodes. Rolls to see if it damages the Captain and the Sergeant, and doesn't, and replace it with the Crater. Next up, the plasma gun's going to attack the Knob. It managed to scatter and not hit him after we measured here. So it scattered 5 inches, but -4, but it just didn't call that it. Or sorry, 7 inches, 6 inches. So scattered enough. Now the other Marines are going to fire, so that's 8 shots, and they managed to get 5 hits, and of those 5 hits, 2 wounded, and managed to make both those saves. Next up, the Devastators are going to attack the Ludas, get 2 hits, and fail to wound on both of them. Snake eyes on that roll. Next up, the Sergeant is going to fire. No, looks like he hit, but then we missed the footage, so I'm assuming nothing happened since the Knob is still there. The Captain fires with his bolter, hits, and then fails to wound. And now the Dread's going to fire its autocannon into the Ludas, so he gets 4 shots, which 2 hit, and he gets 1 wound, and because it was rending, there's no saves. So next up, the missile launcher is going to fire, so he gets 1 shot and fails to hit. And now they're going into assault. Or sorry, we're going to see if that squad can make an assault, but because they're in difficult terrain, they weren't able to make it. So now, next up, the Space Marines are going to attack the bikes. They get 4 attacks, and they fail to make any hits. Then the boy and the Knob are going to retaliate, and they get 6 attacks, of which the Knob gets 2 hits and 2 wounds. And the Marines fail their morale check, although they win the initiative roll and are able to fall back 6 inches. And the consolidation roll, the bikes get 6 inches, but they're just going to go and move up because they're going to attack the same squad again next turn. So that brings us to the end of turn 3. So it was a little less painful for the Orks. Took out a few more of the Marines. The numbers on the Marine side are whittling down. There's still 2 troop choices, so I can still capture a couple of those objectives, and the Marines are pushing forward to the other objectives as well. Click on the link to see part 4 of this BatRep, and be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more of these videos. Who do you think is going to win? Can the Orks pull it off, or is it all Marines? Stay tuned.